Welcome to Perfectville, your first place podcast for your last place Miami Dolphins, part of the BLEAV Network, presented by Fanduel. I am Sam Marcoux, and I am going to get you kick off ready for your Miami Dolphins against the Buffalo Bills in just a few short hours. It is Thursday. It is game night. You're 0-2. Miami Dolphins traveling up to a house of horrors, Buffalo, New York, to face the Buffalo Bills, the undefeated 2-0 Buffalo Bills. This is looking like it might be a bloodbath by all accounts. There's basically no shot for the Miami Dolphins to come out of this unscathed. It does look like the Miami Dolphins are probably going to fall to 0-3. And then the question becomes, is Mike McDaniel the head coach after a Thursday night primetime game in Buffalo? Traditionally speaking, the Miami Dolphins don't do well. In fact, since Josh Allen has become a thing in the NFL, the Miami Dolphins are 0-8. Including one playoff loss in Buffalo with Josh Allen as the quarterback for the Buffalo Bills. Overall, they're 2-13. So a little bit more success when they play in Miami, but not by much. Josh Allen has their number. The Buffalo Bills have the number of the Miami Dolphins, and that gap is actually getting wider and wider. You look at what the Buffalo Bills have done so far this season. You look at what James Cook is starting to accomplish. He's really coming into his own as the running back one, not just in Buffalo, but maybe in the league. He's right up there when you look at what he's done early this NFL season. And that becomes a scary proposition for the Miami Dolphins and really the rest of the AFC East and the AFC as a whole. I don't know how you stop this Buffalo Bills offense, especially not with this Miami Dolphins defense, which is ranked dead last in just about every statistical category that matters. It's going to be an interesting science experiment. That's what tonight's game is. It is not a football game. It is a science experiment to see just what in the hell happens when you put this immovable force, this dominant object that is the Buffalo Bills against this feeble, phoebish, barely holding together with duct tape Miami Dolphins team. I'm telling you right now, we're going to get into Fanduel. We're going to jump and crack open the sports book. We're going to take a look at all the odds, lines, matchups, everything. And there's some ones in there that I think are pretty interesting to see if the Buffalo Bills might accomplish just on their own. But, you know, I taking a look at this matchup, trying to do my due diligence, trying to figure out how the Buffalo Bills could somehow squander this opportunity to completely kill the Miami Dolphins 2025 season just 3 weeks in. And I'm having a hard time finding it. There's really no shame in their game. There's not a lot of cracks in that armor right now. But if I had to put a coaching hat on, if I had to run the Miami Dolphins team tonight into Buffalo, there's a couple things that I'd be looking to do. Number one, offensively, you have to commit to the run. You have to somehow figure out that the run game is a crucial part of the offense and then go exploit a very young, depleted Buffalo Bills front seven. There are some injuries that are going to hurt the Buffalo Bills throughout this season. And this game, it looks like a couple of their linebackers aren't going to play, a couple of defensive ends and defensive tackles aren't going to play. So there is an opportunity for the Miami Dolphins to potentially run the ball against these Buffalo Bills. Now, is it going to be enough? Is it sustainable to just run the ball against the Buffalo Bills? No, but it would certainly help open up the passing game. And it does look like Jalen Wright might make his debut for the Miami Dolphins in this game. He was a full participant in practice, I think, yesterday, and hopefully he can suit up after a couple of weeks off. Look, Ollie Gordon's been great in preseason, hasn't really done much as Devon Achane's backup the first 2 weeks of the season. I welcome Jalen Wright getting back into the fold. I welcome Jalen Wright being just a little bit of a change of pace to what Devon Achane does. Maybe it opens up this offense a little bit. Maybe it gives them a little bit more of a different look that the Buffalo Bills defense has to take into account. I'm not sure. Is it enough to win? No, certainly not. But I welcome Jalen Wright coming back. Getting your full complement of running backs is always a good thing. Any sort of good health news for the Miami Dolphins is good news because Lord knows they need it. Staying on the offensive side of the ball, Jalen Waddle has a shoulder injury. Shocker. He's going to be a game time decision whether or not he can play tonight. If he's out of this game, again, I don't think it changes the overall outcome of the Miami Dolphins against the Buffalo Bills here Thursday night. But having one of your best offensive weapons down certainly doesn't help. But again, taking a look at where I would focus, if I were the coach, if I were in charge, I would certainly commit to the run. I would certainly give Devon Achane the ball as early and as often as I possibly could, even if that meant swing passes, even if that meant just, quick outs out of the backfield, whatever I can do to put the ball in his hand and let him go make plays, I'm in. I'm a yes. At this point, this is not the Tyreek Hill offense. This is not the Jalen Waddle offense. This is not Tua Tagovailoa's offense. This is Devon Achane. He is option one. He is option A. That is the guy. But he cannot do it alone. But I would certainly do everything I could to try to keep Josh Allen off the field as often as I possibly could. I would try to bleed that clock. I mean, even if you have a 6-play drive or a 7-play drive that ends in a punt, that's got to be a win. That has to be a win for the Miami Dolphins. If you can bleed clock, if you can actually drop the amount of time that Josh Allen has to hurt you, that's how you got to do it. That's going to be your defense against Josh Allen. So the Miami Dolphins have to figure out how to not necessarily get chunk plays, although I'll take them. Clearly, I would take them. But sustained, positive forward motion. If Devon Achane runs the ball and he gets 4 yards, good. Congratulations. Get up, dust yourself off, do it again, please. I wouldn't mind third down situations for the Miami Dolphins as long as they manage the clock the right way and get up to the line and give themselves an opportunity to convert third and manageable. So I wouldn't game plan to third down situations and fourth and short, but I'd certainly be okay with it. At least I would be if we were to somehow get this play call in the huddle shorter than 14 seconds, like Kim Camper told you the other day on the show. Shout out to Kim Camper on the Out to Pasture podcast. So I think if you're the Miami Dolphins on offense, you have to game plan Devon Achane way more than you already have. He's been the stud. He's been the guy who's gotten to the end zone. He's the guy that's actually creating things for the Miami Dolphins offense in both game 1 and game 2. I see no reason why he shouldn't be featured even more here in game 3. And the more you can keep him inbounds with the ball in his hand, the more clock that's going to run. The less time you have for Josh Allen to get on the field and hurt you. I mean, by the end of this game, there might be a therapist on the sidelines talking to the Miami Dolphins players and like holding up a doll saying, show me where Josh Allen hurt you. that might happen. But if you're the Miami Dolphins, that's what you have to do. You might have to go max coverage in terms of protection. You might have to bring Julian Hill in. You might have to bring in those tight ends, Tanner Conner, and instead of him running out there doing nothing in the passing game, just have him block. Just see what you can do to mitigate the amount of points that are going to be scored in this game by the Buffalo Bills. I used to hate when we had a coach, I think it was Tony Sperano, who used to say, any possession on offense that ends in a kick is a positive. I was like, what? Punting the ball is not a positive. I stand corrected. In 2025, any offensive series for the Miami Dolphins that ends in a kick, punt, field goal, extra point, whatever, is a good series offensively for the Miami Dolphins early. Now, defensively, I think it's got to be more of the same from an extension of what I just said you had to do on offense. You have to figure out ways to bring the play clock down on Josh Allen. You're not going to stop the Buffalo Bills offense. You're just not. But if you can slow it down a little bit, if you can grind it, make them earn it a little harder than what you've done so far this season, maybe that's a win. So you're not going to stop Josh Allen. Look, when you look at the Miami Dolphins defense, they are blitzing at a rate that's the 4th highest in the NFL through 2 weeks, and they have the worst pass rush. Those two things don't equate well. That means you are not getting to the quarterback. That means you are exposing an already exposed defensive backfield way too much. So if I'm Anthony Weaver, I'm blitzing less in this game. Very, very few blitzes, very few situational blitzes. Listen, it's not a good thing to just let Josh Allen sit back in that pocket and pick you apart, but he's going to do it anyway. And if you're rushing 5 or 6 and you're not getting home and you're not putting pressure on this guy and you're not flushing him out of the pocket to where he might throw an inaccurate ball and you might be able to pick it off, then you might as well rush 3. Rush 4. Put a spy on Josh Allen so when he eventually panics and breaks out of that pocket, maybe you put a hat on him, put him down on the ground. But you got to protect the back end of this defense. You have to protect these defensive backs. You have to protect the safeties and the cornerbacks. We're trying hard. They're not very good, but they're trying hard. So I would rush 3. I'd rush 4. I wouldn't very often disguise blitzes. I wouldn't necessarily drop everybody into coverage. I think you need a 1.5 spies on Josh Allen at any point. He's that good. He's that good. So that would be my game plan defensively. I'd rush your base package. I would use my pass rushers to rush the passer. I don't want to see Jalen Phillips in coverage. I don't want to see Bradley Chubb in coverage. I don't want to see Chop Robinson in coverage. I want to see them trying their very best to get upfield and hit Josh Allen. I want to see more of Willie Gay. He got a little bit of run against New England, and he was successful. Had no run against the Colts. That was a shame. This is one of our superstars in training camp, superstars in preseason. You got to get him on the field. Tonight seems like a great time. But I got to see those linebackers at that middle level. I don't want them pushing up. I don't want them blitzing. I don't want them getting or trying to get past this offensive line and letting Josh Allen just run around them and throw over the top of them. You got to help your defensive backs. You got to help them in coverage. And I think the way to do that is not to rush and blitz. I think it's to hold back and try to keep the play in front of him. Keep the play in front of you. Yes, he's going to throw balls. Yes, they're going to be caught. Yes, they're going to try to run for first downs and touchdowns, but that's where you got to tackle. That's where the fundamentals of defense have to come into play. You're the Miami Dolphins. So if I'm Anthony Weaver, scale this back. Let's get vanilla. Nothing wrong with vanilla ice cream every now and then. It's a nice palate cleanser. This might be a palate cleansing game for the defense. So less blitzes, less obscure and crazy defensive packages out there. Just line up and play football. Let's see what happens. The challenge for the Miami Dolphins defense beyond Josh Allen is James Cook. James Cook is a monster right now out of that backfield, and he likes playing against the Miami Dolphins. He was a Dolphins fan growing up. He's from the area. He wanted the Dolphins to draft him. He didn't do it. We didn't do it, and now he's out for revenge seemingly every single time we play against this man. So not only do you have to deal with Josh Allen, but you got to deal with James Cook. So the Miami Dolphins are going to have to play disciplined football on defense. They're going to have to line up in the right areas. They're going to have to not try to do extravagant stuff. They're just going to have to line up and beat the man in front of them as best they possibly can. If you can get some pressure on Josh Allen with your base defense on the line, that's going to do nothing but wonders to help slow down this vaunted Buffalo Bills offense. You're not going to stop them. You're not going to pitch a shutout. You're just not. If you can keep them under 20 at halftime, that's a victory. That's a win. So that's how I would attack this game. If I was in charge of the Miami Dolphins and if my job was on the line, I'd run a base vanilla defense against Josh Allen. I'd have a spy at all times for when he eventually tries to break loose. And I try to help my defensive backs as much as I possibly can with my linebackers. I get Willie Gay Jr. on the field more often than he has been. See what that does. What do you have to lose besides a game and possibly your job? Offensively, Devon Achane, occasionally Jalen Wright, occasionally Ollie Gordon, Devon Achane. You can't rely on Jalen Waddle. Even if he plays, he's banged up. And even if he wasn't banged up, he will be during the game. He'll catch a ball, fall down, and limp off. We don't know where Tyreek Hill's headspace is at in this game. You would love to rely on him, but that's just not the guy these days. He ain't him. And speaking of him, Tua ain't him when it comes to being a leader. I was thinking about this yesterday. I think what's really missing from this Miami Dolphins team as a whole, I think they have good leaders. Jordan Brooks is a leader. I think Tua has stepped up that game. They have good leaders. Zach Sealer has been that silent assassin for many, many years. He's having a rough start to this season, but he's been a very good leader for the Miami Dolphins. What is missing is the straw that stirs the drink. What is missing is a Christian Wilkins type of player. You know what I mean? Like, Christian Wilkins was a guy who you knew where he was when he was on the field at all times. He was pestering the ever-loving crap out of the offensive players. He was bugging the refs. He made it known that he was there. It was almost irrelevant if he was a good player or not. It's almost like Kike Hernandez on the Los Angeles Dodgers. Kike Hernandez is a very mid player. He's a utility player who on every other team other than the Dodgers doesn't move the needle. But for whatever reason, he's been with the Dodgers on 2 different stints. He's the guy that brings everyone together. He's the culture vulture. He's the guy that says, all right, everything's going to be okay. We're going to go have some fun today. We're going to go play some baseball. And wouldn't you know it, the freaking Dodgers are way more successful when he's on the team than when he's not. The Dolphins don't have that in football. They used to. Christian Wilkins used to be that guy, and we've never replaced him. Since he has left, that has been a deficit for the Miami Dolphins, is that culture piece. We don't have a chief mojo officer like we used to with Christian Wilkins. I mean, think about what Christian Wilkins used to do to Josh Allen. I mean, he used to annoy the crap out of that guy. He'd get in his face after every single play, good, bad, or otherwise, and make Josh Allen just have to acknowledge him. He'd be pulling the towels off of the offensive linemen's pants and just bothering them because now they had to go pick it up. He'd be in the face of those refs, just trying to make sure that they know that he's there, and whatever he's seeing, they now have to acknowledge that too. He's the glue. He was the glue. And it's not a surprise now that I'm thinking about it that the Miami Dolphins have become unhinged ever since the glue was taken out of that team. That's really what's missing with the Miami Dolphins. It's that glue player, that glue guy. And I don't know that that's something you could manufacture. But that being said, taking a look at this game, this looks like it's going to be a slaughter. I mean, it's not particularly cold, but taking a look at this, the Miami Dolphins are underdogs by 11.5 points on Fanduel. Traditionally speaking, being a road team underdog Thursday night football does not end well. I don't think the Miami Dolphins have ever played well when they've been on the road Thursday night as underdogs. I do not think this game will be any different. I'll give you my official prediction later in this episode, but for now, just breaking this down. The Miami Dolphins have to rely on Devon Achane in the running game for ball control. They cannot turn the ball over. If they turn the ball over even once, done for. Zero shot. They throw interceptions or they fumble the ball away. They cannot give the Buffalo Bills extra possessions. They got to get off the field. If they do get him to third down, they have to figure out a way to let Josh Allen feast without getting bloated. So I wouldn't blitz the man too often. I wouldn't try to disguise coverages. I would just line up and play football. See what happens. See what happens. And we're all going to see what happens in just a few hours as Miami Dolphins get ready to play the Buffalo Bills Thursday night in Buffalo. Prime time. Just a few hours away. Getting your kickoff ready. I'm going to go take a break. I'm going to cleanse myself from all that praise that I had to give the Buffalo Bills right there. I feel dirty. When we come back, we're going to take a look. We're going to open up the sports book. We're going to open up Fanduel and just dive into this game a little bit further. Kind of just find out other ways to enjoy this game. What little tiny matchups can you exploit on Fanduel to maybe give yourself just an extra wrinkle of fun and excitement for tonight's game? So we'll be back right after these words. All right, welcome back. Sam Marcoux, town of Perfectville, BLEAV Network, presented by Fanduel, and it is time to open up the Fanduel Sportsbook and take a look, a little bit of a deeper dive into this Buffalo Bills Miami Dolphins Thursday night affair. Let's take a look, shall we? Like I've talked about all week, this game has actually moved around. It's kind of fun to see this line move back and forth, given the news that's coming out about both teams in terms of injuries, about who might play, who isn't going to play. But let's just break down the spread first and foremost. At the beginning of the week, after the end of week 2, the Buffalo Bills were favored by 12.5 points against the Miami Dolphins. That has now moved to 11.5, so a little bit closer together, but still a pretty healthy spread for the Buffalo Bills against the Miami Dolphins. I think personally, 11.5 points is still easy money if you're taking a look at this game. I think you take the Buffalo Bills. I think you take the 11.5 points. I think the Buffalo Bills are going to come out. They're on prime time. They have a chance to end the Miami Dolphins season and maybe end the career of Mike McDaniel. They are not going to let that go. They're not going to let that get away from them. I think they want to show off who they are. They want to show the disparity between these two teams that were supposed to be rivals for the next 10 years when it came to the AFC crown, not just the AFC East, but the AFC in general. The Buffalo Bills want to show that they did it right. The Miami Dolphins did it wrong. I think they come out early. They score often. Take the Buffalo Bills minus 11.5 money line. Not a lot of money for you if you're taking the Buffalo Bills, but free money is easy money. If you want to, go ahead. It's a minus 900 if you just take the Buffalo Bills on the money line. And then the other thing that's changed overnight, the spread for, I'm sorry, not the spread, but the over-under was at 49.5. It's moved to 50.5. And as I joked about earlier this week, the Buffalo Bills might do that by themselves. I could easily see them dropping 50, if not more, against the Miami Dolphins on primetime. This could get away from Mike McDaniel, the Miami Dolphins, early. This could unravel and just completely, show our ass yet again against the Buffalo Bills in prime time. And I think if the Buffalo Bills have the advantage to do that, they are going to run up the score for a bunch of reasons. So the over-under is 50.5. I think you take the over. I think this game is going to get a lot of points scored, in particular by the Buffalo Bills. Anything the Dolphins give you on top of that is just gravy. Say thank you very much and take your money. So when I look at the line just from that, Miami Dolphins plus 11.5. I think you take the Bills and the points minus 11.5. Money line Buffalo Bills and take the over at 50.5. Taking a look at some of the touchdown score props that are out there. Josh Allen, anytime touchdown. Not a lot of money there, but probably good bet that he's going to get one in there. James Cook, also very similar to Josh Allen, I think minus 172 for an anytime touchdown. Devon Achane, again, almost even money, but if you're going to bet on anybody to do well against the Buffalo Bills, it's going to be Devon Achane. I wouldn't touch Tyreek Hill. I wouldn't touch Keon Coleman in terms of anytime touchdowns. I think first touchdown score for either player, this is kind of a fun one. You could pick either Josh Allen or James Cook. You could take James Cook or Devon Achane. I think that's the one. That's plus 230. James Cook, Devon Achane, anytime first touchdown score. That's a lot of fun. That's a different way of looking at this game. You get two players, one from each team in this case, both solid stud running backs. I think there's a good opportunity there for James Cook and or Devon Achane to be the first touchdown scorer in this game. James Cook or Tyreek Hill, that's plus 300. That pays off well, but you're relying on Tyreek Hill at that point. I think that's a bad thing to do. This is kind of a fun one. I got who can score 2 touchdowns. James Cook plus 300, Josh Allen plus 320. Yeah, I could see that going. If you want a big payoff, Devon Achane plus 600 for 2 touchdowns. That's not out of the question. It's not out of the question for Devon Achane, if he is featured in this game like I think he will be and should be, to go ahead and get 2 touchdowns. That would be a lot of fun. I could see myself laying a little bit of action on Devon Achane to get 2 touchdowns in this game. In terms of passing yards, Josh Allen, the odds here, plus 210 to get 275 yards. Yeah, I think that's fair. I think plus 370 if he goes over 300. I think the Buffalo Bills are showcasing tonight. I think they're going to do everything they can to show everybody not just the disparity between them and the Miami Dolphins, but them and the rest of the league. This is their piece. So I'm very bullish on all things Josh Allen, Buffalo Bills when it comes to this game in particular. But if you want to take a look at some of the Miami Dolphins ones, Tua Tagovailoa plus 205 for 275. Yeah, he went over 300 against the New England Patriots. Like I told you he would. I told you that plus 250, that plus 275 yardage was probably within reach. If Tua can get the ball out to Devon Achane, if Tua can get the ball to Tyreek, which there's not a lot of opportunity maybe necessarily to get there, I think 275 isn't out of the question. Devon Achane on receiving yards, he had close to 100 against the Patriots. I think he will be more of a receiving threat. Devon Achane, 50-plus yards, receiving, plus 158. I think that's where the money is. That's where I would put my bet. Devon Achane, 50 yards receiving. But all kinds of ways, all kinds of plays on FanDuel. Check it out, FanDuel Sportsbook. Gamble responsibly, but just a different way, just to spice this game up a little bit. Bring a little bit of excitement if you're a Miami Dolphins fan in particular into this game, because this is going to be a bloodbath. This is going to be a slaughtering. This is going to be a game for the ages for all the wrong reasons. But check it out. FanDuel, Download the Fanduel Sportsbook. You can not only gamble on the Dolphins-Bills game, but just about every single sport that's out there. You got baseball. You got basketball coming up. You got hockey starting up. You got the rest of the week 3 games for the NFL, tennis, golf, all of it. It's all there on FanDuel. Enjoy yourself. Gamble responsibly. All right, coming up, we're going to take another break. We're going to get into my final predictions. We're going to do a little bit of broadcast bingo. We're going to talk about what's coming up next, not just for the Miami Dolphins, but here in the town of Perfectville. What do we got cooking? Who's coming on the show next week? What surprises does Sam Marcoux and the BLEAV Network have for you? So we'll take a quick break. We'll come back right after these words. Welcome back yet again, Sam Marcoux, town of Perfectville, BLEAV Network, presented by Fanduel. Getting you kickoff ready in just a few short hours. Miami Dolphins, Buffalo Bills in Buffalo, primetime Thursday night football. The Miami Dolphins have never won in Buffalo since Josh Allen became a thing in Buffalo. A perfect 0-8, including 1 playoff loss. 2-13 overall against the Buffalo Bills in the Josh Allen era. I know it says Stephen Ross owns the Miami Dolphins, but I'm pretty sure Josh Allen has at least partial ownership. He's got to have a deed to the team somewhere in his locker. So, I mean, we went through some of the stats that Josh Allen has had against the Miami Dolphins since he came into the league, and it's stupid. It's like season-long stats without having season-long games. I think in 14 regular season games. So throw out the playoff game, just the regular season games. They play 17 in a season now, as you guys all know. But in 14 career games against the Miami Dolphins, Josh Allen has a passer rating of 108.8 with 3,737 yards, 37 touchdowns against 8 interceptions. That is ownership. That is ownage. That is QB1 right there, Josh Allen. So when I look at this game, I don't see the Miami Dolphins winning. I'm not predicting them to win. I'm not even predicting them to cover that 11.5 point spread that you see on FanDuel. I think the Buffalo Bills are going to boat race this team. I think the Buffalo Bills are going to come out and they're going to do everything they can do to ensure that Mike McDaniel gets fired in this game. Best case scenario for the Miami Dolphins, outside of some sort of miracle victory, is getting out of this game without more injuries and seemingly looking competitive, at least for part of this game. That might give you some hope against the Jets in week 4. That might give you some hope against the Panthers week 5. Maybe after a disastrous 0-3 start, you can start to get right with a pretty light schedule immediately following this game. But even if the Miami Dolphins were coming into this game 2-0 and they looked dominant against the Colts and the Patriots, I would have been taking the Bills. I mean, the smart money is on the Bills all day, every day, for all the reasons that we've talked about and more. But as it's turned out, it's not 2-0. It's not 1-1. The Miami Dolphins are a disaster. They are continually down at the bottom of all the power rankings, and rightfully so, across the national media scope, as well as just about every stat that matters, both offensively and defensively. This is a bad football team going into a bad situation against a great football team in Buffalo. So when I look at this, unless the Buffalo Bills start to feel bad and just throttle down late in the second half, I think there's not a scenario where the Buffalo Bills don't score at least 30. The Dolphins have given up 30 points or more to the Colts and to the Patriots. The Bills are better than both of those teams combined. I think they're at least getting 30. And if you want a final score prediction from me to you, the citizens of Perfectville, let's just go Buffalo Bills 37, Miami Dolphins 14. That would give you your over. That would give you your spread. That would give you your money line. Everything's consistent with what I just talked about on the FanDuel episode or section of this show. But I think the Buffalo Bills might drop even 40. They're looking to send a message. And if they can do it in prime time on national television, well, Amazon, they're going to do it because then they own the entire news cycle for sports on Friday morning. That's fun. That's sexy. That's enticing if you're the Buffalo Bills. So I think the Dolphins will score. I don't think they'll score early. I don't think they'll score often. I don't think the game plan is going to allow them to go and put up the points like they used to put up the points a couple of years ago when that offense was humming. It seems disjointed. Mike McDaniel seems very stubborn with his play calling. He doesn't seem like he wants to change or do anything other than what he feels is the right way, and that stubbornness is probably going to cost him his job after this game. Speaking about after this game, we do play the New York Jets after a little tiny mini bye week, right? We're going to get the Sunday game off. We're going to get the Monday game off. We're going to have a little bit extra time to recalibrate after a seemingly 0-3 start. We might have a new coach. Might have a new lease on life. Probably going up against an 0-3 New York Jets team. But I'm going to have Antoine Staley. That's right, Antoine Staley from New York Daily News. Going to be on the show next week, making his debut in the town of Perfectville. Used to cover the Miami Dolphins back in the day. Friend of the pod. He's going to be on here talking all things Jets, talking all things Dolphins. Should be a lot of fun. We're going to get back to fantasy football next week. I got a guest lined up from fantasylife.com. Those guys are always great. Looking forward to the next one out of there. We'll get you kickoff ready for week 4 against the Jets. But until then, we've got the Miami Dolphins. We got the Buffalo Bills. National broadcast, which means we got to get into broadcast bingo. One of my favorite segments that we do. This is where we talk about everything that they're going to see, show, and just discuss during the broadcast. The tropes, the things that make you roll your eyes and go, here we go again. But every single time they do one of these things, you take a shot. So bust out your bingo card, scrape off everything that hit against the Patriots last week, and let's do a little broadcast bingo for your Miami Dolphins against the Buffalo Bills Thursday night. So here's how it's going to work. If they show you the stat of Josh Allen's dominance against the Miami Dolphins, you take a shot. If they show you Mike McDaniel's record against winning teams during his coaching career at the Miami Dolphins, you take a shot. If they go through all the off-the-field headlines for the Miami Dolphins with regards to Tyreek Hill, Tua Tagovailoa, and Mike McDaniel, you take a shot. If they talk about Marv Levy turning 100, happy birthday to the old coach, take a shot. If they show Don Shula and Marv Levy, take a shot. If they show Dan Marino and Jim Kelly, take a shot. If they promote Amazon shows and products more than 15 times during the broadcast, take a shot. If they talk about how James Cook grew up in Miami after he breaks off a big run, take a shot. If they talk about, if they show the future schedule for the Miami Dolphins over the next couple of months, take a shot. If they talk about Mike McDaniel possibly being fired and then they immediately cut to Anthony Weaver or Frank Smith or Darrell Bevel, take a shot. If they show Stephen Ross looking confused and angry and disappointed after another Buffalo Bills touchdown, take a shot. Here's a good one. If they show you Thurman Thomas in a Miami Dolphins uniform as well as a Buffalo Bills uniform, take 2 shots. That's the thing that happened. That's one of those weird ones, too, where like a player who played for a team, you're like, really, they played for them? Didn't know that. Thurman Thomas played for the Miami Dolphins. It's like when Emmitt Smith played for the Cardinals. I'm like, what? That happened in this timeline? In this world? It's one of the weirdest ones. Remember those rumors before Dan Marino retired that he's going to go to the Minnesota Vikings? Imagine how weird that would have been. Imagine how weird that would have been. Dan Marino rocking a 13 in purple. Well, the Miami Dolphins are going to be purple. They're going to be black and blue at the end of this one. The Buffalo Bills, that is a juggernaut. I don't see how the Miami Dolphins are going to get out of this with a victory, but who knows? Stranger things have happened. I'd be happy to be wrong. I would love to come on to the Finston Reaction Show after this and say, I was dead wrong. The Miami Dolphins are back, and we're back in the driver's seat, but I don't see that happening. So be prepared, Dolphins. Be prepared. Changes are coming. This is going to be maybe the last time that you see Mike McDaniel going up and down the sidelines doing his thing. Miami Mike may not be back. He might be taking a different flight home away from this team, depending on the outcome of this game. But that's how I see it going. I see the Buffalo Bills stomping the Miami Dolphins tonight. I see the Miami Dolphins trying to get out of this one without any more injuries. I see a lot of changes coming to the Miami Dolphins. I hope I'm wrong. I'd love to be wrong, but I don't think I am. I'm not wrong. And again, like I always talk about, nobody's perfect except us. So on behalf of myself, Sam Marcoux, the entire BLEAV Network, presented by Fanduel, the only thing left to say is goodbye from Perfectville. Later.